Clive Palmer and Al Gore's dramatic intervention has put climate change back on the political agenda. It even got a bit of a run during question time on Thursday. That's despite Labor's determination to keep the focus on the budget. But as the budget has dominated question time during the past fortnight, let's look instead at those exchanges about climate change.
I am confident that it will go, that the carbon tax will go when the legislation goes before the Senate in the next fortnight. And, Madam Speaker, I do welcome the statement of the member for Fairfax that he and his senators will support the government's legislation to repeal the carbon tax. And, Madam Speaker, the member for Fairfax is absolutely right. Abolishing the carbon tax will make our industries more competitive and it will make our people's lives more manageable. And I do look forward to working with the member for Fairfax and crossbench senators. Who is left supporting the carbon tax? Well, only the Leader of the Opposition, who is in denial about the election result.
Today is the National Day of Protest for the CSIRO against the Prime Minister's cuts and broken promises. The Prime Minister is cutting 1 in 10 jobs at CSIRO and slashing $111 million from its budget, including cuts to climate research. Why does the Prime Minister believe science is absolute crap?
There are some savings that this government is seeking to make in respect of the CSIRO. But, Madam Speaker, the former government certainly cut the CSIRO in its time, Madam Speaker. And my understanding, Madam Speaker, is that any job losses at the CSIRO up until now result not from decisions of this government but decisions of the previous government. Yet again, mendacity and hypocrisy from members opposite.
What is standing in the way of repealing a carbon tax that doesn't help the environment, that will ease the cost of living pressures on businesses and families in my electorate of Lindsay?
On Monday of this week, AGL, which services numerous customers in her electorate, made the following statement: price reductions will flow through to residential and small business customers if the carbon repeal legislation is passed by the federal parliament. The ACCC will be on the job, but we are happy. We are happy to take the considerations of members of this House and to go even further and to enshrine in legislation guarantees over and above what we already have. So prices will be lower than they would otherwise have been, electricity and gas costs will be down, and the people who are standing directly in the way ought to realise that change is coming, and that change will mean lower electricity and gas prices.
As things now stand, there will soon be no direct action sham, no carbon price and no emissions trading scheme. As most of the new senators now support at least the principle of an ETS, will you now agree to an ETS as well? Or will you continue to fail to protect the Australian people and leave the country without an economy-wide plan to tackle climate change?
There is no country in the world, according to the Productivity Commission, that has an economy-wide carbon tax or indeed an economy-wide emissions trading scheme. For instance, the European ETS covers just 45% of total emissions at about $8 a tonne. California's ETS covers about 35% of total emissions at about $12 a tonne. New Zealand's ETS covers 50% of total emissions at about $4.60 per tonne. And, Madam Speaker, the Chinese ETS, or the proposed pilot in Beijing, covers 40% of total emissions, and I'm advised, Madam Speaker, that 99.9% of permits have been provided to industry for free. So when it comes to carbon taxes and emissions trading schemes, the world is going against the Greens' view. The world is going against the Greens' view, and the problem that the Greens have, apart from the fact that they are being echoed by the Leader of the Opposition, the problems that the Labor Party and the Greens have is that, as far as they're concerned, Copenhagen never happened. That's the thing, Madam Speaker. What we're doing is proposing direct action. And, Madam Speaker, the interesting thing is that the countries that talk most loudly about tackling climate change and the countries that we're happy to work with when it comes to tackling climate change are countries that are putting direct action measures into place, such as President Obama's direct action measure to limit power station emissions.